Unfortunately, the political establishment and, Bush in particular, and, Rumsfeld and others, and Cheney, at the top of the leadership, really use the attacks to try to then go after Muslim communities. So, stigmatize and try to, scapegoat Muslim communities. And so then there was this atmosphere of fear and xenophobia and Islamophobia that was created, and also dehumanization, which then, led to a slew of xenophobic and Islamophobic laws and policies, as well as various types of discrimination and surveillance. So, this surveillance state, which already existed, kind of expanded and magnified. And then you had entrapment of Muslim individuals by the FBI and, by other agencies. And so that's, that whole surveillance system and the mechanisms that were really strengthened in the wake of 9/11 still exist to this day. Well, I mean, I think there are, groups at the sort of intersectionality of oppression. So, Black Muslims have definitely been targeted for a long time. And we had, many cases of entrapment targeted at Black Muslims. Palestinians also, I think, are a group that have been targeted. But really, I think, a lot of Muslim communities and even other communities that are not Muslim, but are as perceived as being Muslim, such as Sikhs, have also been targeted. I mean, definitely, mental health of Muslims in particular, if you are seeing your communities being attacked and stigmatized, and at the same time, you have, US wars on Afghanistan and Iraq and, Guantanamo and the torture program and all the various types of really egregious human rights violations targeting Muslims here in the US and elsewhere, I think that really takes a toll. I really think what we need more of is more participation of Muslim communities in social justice coalitions. We at Project South believe that it's not politicians who save us, it is us who save us. As in, we need to continue to organize and build really strong social justice movements to then force politicians to do the right thing, because they are not going to do the right thing because of their own goodwill. We have to force them. And it takes time to organize and build the strong movements. But, we can win at the local level. Even under Trump, we were winning on the local level in terms of dismantling the structures of oppressions, such as immigration detention centers. And so I think we need to continue to organize and work together. I fear about maybe the atmosphere of complacency under Biden, where folks might think that, okay, well, there's a democratic establishment in place, we can go home now and rest. No, there's not a time to rest. We need to continue to work and really force these politicians to do the right thing in terms of getting rid of policies rooted in white supremacy, which is really the entirety of the US immigration system, and policing and mass incarceration systems, and instead putting into place a system that is aimed towards liberation for all of us. I think over time, I think many sectors of the public have started noticing the impact of the laws and the policies that were instituted in the wake of 9/11. And they started to realize that, the hyped up atmosphere immediately after 9/11 really led to disastrous consequences. And so, right when Trump was elected president, and one of his first acts was, of course, the Muslim ban. And so the response to that was, in a lot of ways, it was a good response on the part of the public. So, I mean, for example, in Atlanta, there was a massive rally of 7,000 people to say no to the Muslim ban. A lot of those folks were not directly impacted by the Muslim ban. And so, I remember going to the airport. My community, I'm Iranian American, so my community definitely was directly impacted. I was expecting to see maybe a couple hundred people, and then I got to the airport and I saw thousands upon thousands of people at the airport saying, no, we're not going to stand for this. And that really led me to believe that people are going to protest the xenophobic policies of the Trump administration. And so, to this day, I continue to think of that moment whenever I'm facing despair as a result of the various policies and various fights that we have. So I'm hoping that, we're moving towards a moment where people will be working together for winning and for continuing to fight against policies of oppression from the government. Again, I think we need to view this as part of the larger system of laws and policies, and a state that is built on white supremacy. And so, Muslim communities are not alone by any means in terms of facing these types of attacks. So rather than working in silos and trying to counter these attacks on our own, again, I would very much encourage folks to join movements, join an organization, join a social justice organization, become part of a movement to try to counter these type of systems. So, whether it is shutting down an immigration detention center, shutting down a prison, preventing somebody's deportation, or reversing a discriminatory policy. Every step that we take together towards social justice, that's a win for all of us. I would say join or support a grassroots social justice organization. A lot of these fights happen on the ground. They don't happen in DC. So join a movement on the ground, check out what the needs are. Sometimes it's, volunteer needs, sometimes it is some type of technical support or otherwise, and try to strengthen those organizations on the ground with whatever skills that you have. And in the process, you learn a lot about movement building. So yeah, I mean, if you're in the South, definitely, I encourage you to get plugged into the work of Project South, my own organization. If you're in Georgia, the Georgia Latino Alliance for Human Rights is doing really great work. Organizations like DRUM in New York City, AROC in the Bay Area, AAAN in Chicago, they're all doing really important work. And there are many, many other examples of grassroots social justice organizations that folks should plug into and support. And in the process, you basically learn a lot from social justice organizers. I think we really need to understand that the impact of 9/11, I mean, the impact of the US government criminalization of our communities has impacted many of us. So the infrastructure that has been really built and strengthened, the surveillance mechanisms are impacting folks who are doing organizing on a number of different social justice fronts. And so, I think we need to continue to really abolish these, structures of surveillance and entrapment and criminalization that are targeting Black immigrant and Muslim communities. And I think we need to immediately repeal the laws that were passed in the wake of 9/11 and work with each other, with other impacted communities towards the goal of abolition of prisons, of policing structures and other surveillance and entrapment mechanisms targeting our communities.